This is Ling Chi, and I'm going to demonstrate a chrysanthemum in fine line style for beginners. Fine line style, also called gongbi in Chinese, is it's very time consuming and then takes a lot of time. But then it can be also a very rewarding way to learn for beginners. And we use different kind of paper, and then we call it has sizing. And in our line, the best quality called shimmering has a little bit glitter on the paper, and it has sizing on there. So when you put the water on it, it kind of stay on the top, and then you can see what does it do for beginners. And I'm going to show it to you. And you can see that when you put ink on there, it's kind of flow on the top. So the purpose is that so we can kind of pull it. After our last chrysanthemum 写意 style, people were asking for a fine line. So this particular one is a finished piece compared to other fine line style that I choose not to use too many layers. So for beginner, you can finish easier. But that has all the element. You can use it in very many other subjects, or if you choose to add additional layer, you can also achieve that. One of the essential part about adding layers is that if you can, each layer, you have to wait until it's dry. And so this is the finished piece. So I'm going to show you on the starting. So this is a darker line work. So from the video, you can see it more clearly. This is a straight dark ink, but then you can show the lines very clearly to you. And but when you really paint, you want the line work use like medium ink, so it doesn't take away from the coloring. And so I have another sample that to show it to you. It's actually in a lighter ink, what I call medium tone. So you can see that there's two different grade of ink. So it's the same sketch, but different intensity of the ink. This one to show you the originally clear the composition, and this show you that how you wanted to apply the color. And so it's how do you get here? You can, if you're a good sketcher, you can do it freehand with a brush, or you can use a pre-drawn sketching underneath to trace it. And the brush we use for the line work we call Red Feather Small, which has a little bit body for the brush, but very sharp tip, so you can hold your ink well, and in the meantime still give you a sharp line. And I will demonstrate a little bit about the line work, but I won't take your time to do the finishing piece. So we often read the line work is nail head, mouse tail. So when you start a line work, you wanted to start with thicker line. Mouse tail. And then you follow it up. Thicker line. Mouse tail. Thicker line. Mouse tail. So this is the line work. So before you start painting, what I do is that I try to train or warm up with different lines, so my hand won't shake. You can see that I haven't warmed up, so okay. So I'm going to show you how do I mixing the color. I will have light ink. So then I'm going to test it on this paper to see if it's so it's very watery. So this is what I want. Okay. And then I'll have an indigo. It's also pretty light. Talking about using what color to use. I would try to avoid any of the Western color because we have a lot of time we need to use a lot of layers. So then the Western color, when you wet mount, has a tendency to run. So you want to make sure that it doesn't run. So like the bright light color, Maries, they are all good for the stability. And then I'll make green for the back of the leaf, which is very interesting mixing. You need to remember this, which I'm using yellow and indigo. So there's more yellow to it than my darker green. So I would say a lighter green. And then to add the brightness of the back of the leaf, usually if you turn the leaf over, it's a lot brighter than the front. So I add a little stone green to it. So you can see, compared to the Xie style, these colors are very watery. So you don't want, the reason is because you add layers in order to achieve the intensity. And also if you have the color too thick, you won't be able to pour. And then I'm going to use the indigo and green, yellow to achieve my front of the leaf, which is a darker green. And then the last one I'm going to mix is rouge. So I will try to keep the color as simple as we can for beginners. And for advanced people, you can add a lot of different colors. So...
So you're just diluting the colors.
Yeah, I'm diluting the color so if you are able to pull it. If you wanted to have the intensity for any area, then I would just add additional layer. Each layer when you add, you need to make sure the first layer is dry before you use the second layer. Okay, so I'm going to have all three different sample work all laid out for you, so Evan can film it so you can see the progress, because we are only going to show different steps. We're not going to show you I'm doing the whole thing, because that would take hours. So I pre-did something so you can see each step without actually me painting the whole thing. So I have two different sizes of brush for applying the color and then also for pulling. I have two small two small double happiness brush. This is a softer brush than usually the small brush, because for us to applying the color layer after layer, you want to make sure that they are not too harsh for the paper, because if you have hard brush, then it might scratch and damage the paper after you apply layer and layer at a time. So I have two small double happiness brush. for the small area. And then I have 2 small fine soft for the larger area. So on this particular subject, you can see that the petal, the front side of petal, which I actually have 3 colors, and I'll show it to you. And then the back side of the petal, I only have 1 color. So the first color I'm applying to is light ink. So I apply this, and then I use a clean brush to fade and pull it away. So that's this one. And after the first layer is dry, then I apply the second layer, which is the indigo. So after this is dry, I apply on the top. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. But then this one, I already have the first layer of the ink, so I'm using indigo on the top. And then this one, I already have indigo and ink on there, so I'm only applying the rouge color. So the rouge is going to be more extended than the indigo and ink. You can see. So I fade it away. And on the back of the petal, I only have 1 layer, which is the rouge. So I will show it to you, and you can see the difference. So this is the back petal of the flower. And then Evan can show it to you on the finished work. So the center is darker, the back of the petal is lighter. And then on the center of the flower, which I will use my light green, which is yellow, indigo, and stone green. And I'm applying on the edge. Then washing it. So that's the center. And the stamen is the same. So you can see the small double happiness is using a lot in this particular subject. So I'm doing on both sides. Leave the middle open. So this will show the dimension. So I wash the middle. Okay, so then you carry this all the way down. And then I also use the same green. This, out of 1 to 4 other leaves, this is the only back side of leaf, right in the front. And I did the part of the washing for you already, and I'll show you the other side. So again, it's the light green, This time I'm going to use bigger brush because I have a bigger area. The reason I don't use the small brush for the bigger area, if I use small brush for the big area, then a lot of times I have a tendency becomes very muddy. So you wanted to make sure that you finish the
So that's the brush you use to apply the color.
Yeah, I have one brush to apply the color and one brush, same kind of brush, and the other brush to pull. So you fade.
And the pulling brush is relatively dry, clean.
Clean, yeah, you can't be too wet. So you constantly washing and damp it clean with a paper towel. And then also when you pulling, make sure you're only pulling the edge, because if you pull too deep, then your area will becomes very muddy. So you can see that I apply from the base, but then I only pulling from the edge. And then this way, this one that I can go from the tip and then pulling. Okay, so I finished this whole back leaf. On the front leaf, 1, 2, 3, 4, have 3 layers. The first layer is the ink. You can see I did a demo here. The second layer is indigo over the ink. And then the third layer is the green. So I will show each layer is deeper than the other. So I just continue on what I did before. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to try to do the ink wash on the front leaf on this one. So it's a light ink like I did on the leaves.
On the petals.
On the petals, I'm sorry. So then I just... So you leave a waterline to show the dimension. So I don't apply the ink right to the edge. So wash on the edge. Both the brush that to apply the ink as well as the pulling the brush, they all have to be right moisture. Otherwise, you just get either you can't pull or get muddy. So this is the ink wash. And on this leaves that I did the ink wash ahead of time. So now it's completely dry. So I'm going to apply the indigo. So I can go over on the line, which because the color is transparent, so it will not cover the line. So this is the second layer of the front leaf, which will show the depth. And then this one, I had ink and indigo wash ahead of time. So again, each layer, important, has to be dry. So now I'm going to use the dark green. And then on the tip, I'm going from the bottom to up. So this way is the, so when it's dry, it's like this. So those have 3 layers. So the stem to hold the leaves only have one, the light green with stone green. And then on the back of leaf, when it's dry, I'm going to do a little bit wash from the center to give it more dimension, which is my dark green.
So it's very important to emphasize that when you switch brushes, you're switching to a clean brush, and then you're pulling the color, you're fading the color out to the edges with that clean brush.
So again, this is the finish when it's dry.
And that's the back side of the leaf. So it has the light green on the base layer, and then it's accented with the dark green.
Right. So now we're going to do the center of the flower. So I have intense vermilion. Make sure it's mixed well, but not too much water. So I'm use my small double happiness because I wanted the dot is a little bit rounder. The small red feather line brush, it won't give me the dot. So I do some dots around the center of the with vermilion. And then I use my dark green. Kind of a little bit do intense. And then I use a clean, small double happiness. And I kind of make it softer into the corner. So this is what it finished look like. So I hope this is, you can get started to do Fineline Chrysanthemum. If you have any question, email us at info@orientalartsupply.com. If you're interested in more fine line, which you don't see it as much online as the Xie style because it takes longer, and then most people it's not doing it on so many stages like we do it here. So we have line work, the process, and then finished product.